Am I the asshole for insisting my son cook dinner once a week? I have two sons, Adam and James. Adam showed an interest in cooking from a young age and is very talented. He makes dinner for the family 2-3x a week because he enjoys it and it gives him an opportunity to try new recipes. I generally cook the rest of the time, unless it's summer and my husband insists on grilling every day. James was not particularly interested in learning to cook. I did try to teach him the kitchen basics and he can make himself a sandwich and simple things, but he'd rather grab an apple than make himself a meal. A few months back, James began asking Adam in the afternoons to make him a snack, something homemade, and sometimes he'll do it if he's in the mood, but more often than not, he's bothered by the daily requests. I asked James why he can't make a sandwich or have a snack. We always have things like hummus, yogurt, pita, sliced veggies, salsa and chips. I make baked goods often. A good array of decent snacks. He could make a smoothie. There's always frozen fruit. But he said Adam is just better at it and he doesn't know how to make it as good. I felt this was a sign I had dropped the ball, so I decided that James would take over making the family dinner once a week. It didn't have to be fancy, but it had to be at least somewhat balanced and filling. For example, yesterday, he made grilled cheese sandwiches, a salad and tomato soup, with a side of cut strawberries. A very simple but good meal. Packaged soups and things are fine as long as that's not all. I help him with the meal planning and then I would work at the dining room table nearby in case he needed help. He hasn't enjoyed this, but I've still kept on it because it's a really important life skill. Feeding yourself isn't optional. He's been complaining to my mother, his grandma, and she's been calling me to tell me I've let a punishment go on too long. But it's not meant to be that. It's life skill training, and I was very clear with James that this was a permanent change, not a temporary punishment. But she made me feel like an absolutely terrible mother forcing unpleasant chores on my children. I tried to point out that my own brother is a grown man that lives on takeout because she never taught him to cook, and I didn't want that to be James one day. She hung up on me. My husband is in full support of our new routine, but still, nothing takes you down a peg like being yelled at by your mother, so I'm looking for some other opinions. Is it really that bad? Not the asshole. You're helping James develop an important life skill and teaching him that weaponized incompetence is not acceptable. When he grows up and has a partner, they'll be very glad that you taught him this lesson. Not the asshole. What would he do if he moved out for university? Not the asshole. Knowing how to cook is pretty useful when you're an adult. Not the asshole. She yelled at you as a defense mechanism because she dropped the ball by not teaching your brother to cook. I taught my kids as teens to do laundry, and when he got to college, my son thanked me because he was the only one in his dorm who knew how to do it. Not the asshole. You're teaching him an invaluable life skill. Does he prefer savory snacks? Or sweets? Or breakfast? Now that he has some experience, I'd branch out into something he prefers, like making pancakes or eggs on Sunday morning. Or teach him to make pizza or brownies. Not the asshole. It sounds like your mother feels like it's okay to raise incompetent children. I don't know if it's only with her son or if she didn't teach you how to cook either. But you're setting up your kids for success by making them learn to cook. Not the asshole. I think all children should know the basics of cooking. There's nothing sadder than seeing grown people who can't even fry an egg. Not the asshole. It's a shame your mother doesn't realize that cooking is a basic life skill everyone should learn. You mean I didn't have to mow the lawn because it was unpleasant? Not the asshole. Not the asshole. It is a chore like any other. It won't kill him to cook once a week. X200B. Not the asshole at all. You doing exactly what you should be doing as a parent. It is your job to raise your kids to be healthy, independent adults. They need to know how to cook. You're right that your mother should not be providing an opinion if she didn't manage to teach your brother about cooking for himself. Say, this is my decision. Let's talk again when you're ready to discuss something else. Epic mic drop on mom. Grin, thumbs up, light skin tone. Not the asshole. Having a cooking skill is an important skill to have, especially when he moves out of the house, as he would need to make his own meals. Not the asshole. Keep having him cook until he's proficient in knife skills and management. Also start teaching him financial planning and meal planning budgets. Compare the homemade meal costs to takeout. Have him estimate the cost per month for homemade versus takeout and convert that to how many hours of work he would have to do. Not the asshole. One of my goals with my sons was that they shouldn't be Hardee's commercials at one time. Hardee's had a commercial that said, if it weren't for us, some guys would starve. Both are very good at cooking. One is a wonderful baker. It was so great by the time they were in high school. If they were home, I could tell them to cook dinner and what I wanted, and they would cook it. It was great for all. Not the asshole. My dad can't cook and it has negatively affected his whole life. You're doing your son a favor, even if he can't see it yet. Not the asshole. As you said, feeding yourself isn't optional, it's a necessity. And I also don't know what your mother was on about concerning your son knowing how to cook. I wish my FMIL taught my fiancé how to make basic meals. It took me a really long time to teach him how to cook so that it isn't solely my chore. Not the asshole. Someday he'll appreciate the lessons. Fucking grandparents. Hey? Unpleasant chores are chores. They're life. He'll need to learn to cook. Now is the time. Not the asshole. You are fine. You are trying to teach him some life skills that is very valuable in college and behind. Grandma is old school. Politely ignore her grin. Good luck with the boys. Not the asshole. It's clear that she's offended because you kinda called out her bad parenting after she pushed you to it. Don't take advice from people who failed at the thing you're trying to teach your kids unless it's constructive. OFC. Good on you for seeing a problem and doing so much to help him overcome it. Not the asshole. Being able to cook for yourself is a life skill everyone should learn if they are to live independently. He doesn't need to be 5-star chef. Your son needs to be able to cook for himself. Maybe an economics lesson is also needed. Constantly buying takeout can get expensive. It can also be very unhealthy depending on what you eat. Let him know eventually he won't live at home, and knowing how to fend for yourself is important. This is an important life skill. Maybe you should invite your brother over to do cooking lessons with your son. I raised 3 sons who all know how to cook. They were never forced to cook our family anything. I simply showed them things here and there in a stress-free way. Making your son cook at age 15 seemed ridiculous to me. It's probably really turning him off. You're the asshole for forcing your 15-year-old son to cook dinner for his family. It's one thing if he had an interest, but cooking is not his responsibility. It's yours as his parent. He can learn how to cook once in a while. Not every week. He's bound to hate cooking after this. Not the asshole. You're doing your son and any future partner of his a great service. He also needs to learn to do laundry. Just saying. I know someone who drives an hour each weekend to cook for her son and daughter-in-law. They have 2 kids. This would be your future. NTA.